Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios, Kokomlemle in Accra, at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including Pando FM, Bishawa Radio, A1 Radio in Bolga. It's on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, DigiBank, Let's Go, and SuperSem. Build your dream. In this edition, President Akufo-Addo justifies government's decision to suspend power distribution services agreement, insisting assets worth $3 billion had to be protected.
But it was necessary for us to act in this manner, to protect the public interest, to protect the assets. These are not assets that you can take lightly.
We'll tell you more. Also, Bagri Dam spillage blocks only road linking Upper East region to the Upper West region.
This is their one village, one dam project. Some collaborate, they can construct. Yes. And they are making noise all over. Yes. What is this?
We have details as UK High Commissioner to Ghana, who is on tour to raise funds, is forced to wade through the water. Former captain of the Black Stars, Asamoah Gyan, describes timing of Coach Kwesi Appiah's decision to take the captaincy from him as wrong.
Trying to come back and help my country. And then all of a sudden, bang, I have emotions. That was why I said the timing was wrong.
We have more as he says Coach Kwesi Appiah did not have him in his plans ahead of the AFCON.
I wasn't in his plans. If I'm in a coach's plan, although football is collectively, but sometimes you see, this guy wants to achieve something also. Sometimes you need to help the player also. Let me help him achieve this.
And later in the bulletin, former editor of the Daily Graphic newspaper, Kojo Yanka, describes Parliament's decision to defer implementation of the Right to Information Law.
The state is not ready. When I say the state machinery is not ready for it. Passing an act just to satisfy concerns is not enough.
That's coming up in our Defend Media Freedom campaign. All that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. Please do stay for details. And President Akufo-Addo has justified government's decision to suspend the power distribution services agreement, insisting assets worth $3 billion had to be protected. The Public Utilities Workers Union, PUWU, had raised concerns about the suspension, describing it as unfortunate. The Financial and Intelligence Center last week froze the bank accounts of PDS following the detection of anomalies in the bank guarantee it provided prior to the takeover of ECG's assets. Government has since dispatched a team to Qatar to investigate the matter and are expected to return today. Here's a wrap of the story so far.
We released a statement tonight, essentially that government is suspended.
Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah announcing the suspension of the power agreement. He said fraud had been detected in the processes leading to the signing of the deal.
By the time they are done, if there's a need to even audit the 5-month work of PDS, I'm sure we will all have an opportunity. We can't blame Akufo-Addo because he's the leader, and therefore everything that goes wrong in this country is his fault.
The opposition NDC waded into the matter, demanding an immediate termination of the agreement. John Jinapor is former Deputy Power Minister.
We of the minority hold the Akufo-Addo government and President Akufo-Addo himself squarely responsible and liable for this embarrassing spectacle of international proportion. Government and officialdom are neck deep in this failed attempt to create, loot, and share.
The suspension of the deal and the circumstances around it raised eyebrows even within the governing MPP. Adansi Asukwa MP Katie Hammond.
But it shouldn't end there. If it is proved that indeed this group perpetuated what I call a gargantuan fraud, illegality on the state of Ghana, then people must be arrested, people must be prosecuted.
Asen Central MP Kennedy Japan challenged shareholders of PDS to show proof of payment in the acquisition of the shares.
They should take the 51% from the Ghanaians until they bring their money. You can't tell me, sir, what's spread it for 5 years. But first, you're not running PBS for 5 months and you haven't paid the dime. You call yourself a shareholder. What's your definition of shareholder?
The concession agreement was supervised by the Millennium Development Authority, MIDA. Policy think tank African Center for Energy Policy demanded the immediate interdiction of MIDA's leadership, saying they could tamper with evidence as investigations continue. Ben Boachi is executive director.
There is a need for immediate interdiction of the leadership of MIDA to prevent tampering with evidence that may be necessary to support the case of the state.
But MIDA, in its first public comment on the matter, denied any wrongdoing. Michael Ewa is head of reforms.
The guarantee was issued by PDS to ECG and not to MIDA or the committee. But even then, we went the extra mile to say that to protect the interests of Ghana, let us make sure that ECG has direct access to our crude when there is a problem.
On claims of fraud, MIDA has this position.
We didn't massage the process. The transaction we had decided to do. Close to the transfer date, 16 had not been fully met. MIDA and the rest of the stakeholders suggested to government that as for the guarantees, until they had been issued, we should not go ahead with the transfer.
Apart from those at the high echelons of power at the power distributor, the employment of ordinary workers of ECG and PDS were thought to be in danger. The Public Utilities Workers Union was unhappy about the suspension of the concession agreement.
Couldn't we have taken our time and made sure that if the guarantee that has been provided is defective, can we give PDS time to rectify? Is there a possibility? But we are acting as if in a James Bond movie, if we don't do some substitute, everything is going to vanish into thin air.
You heard the General Secretary of the Public Utilities Workers Union, Michael Nyantechi, ending that report on the story so far about the PDS issue. Now, President Akufo-Addo has been explaining to the Ghanaian community in Angola circumstances leading to the suspension of the deal.
And one of the conditions of the money was that we should get a private sector operator to partner with the Electricity Corporation to manage our power distribution system, our electricity generation and distribution system. After a process of bidding and tendering, which left just one company in the field, an arrangement was made for that company to take over the running of the assets of ECG. Subsequently, we've discovered that some of the financial instruments that the company put in place were not in order.
He has also justified the suspension, insisting assets had to be protected.
The matters came to a head. We decided the first thing to do was to protect the public assets by suspending the participation of this private sector operator, returning the assets to the control of ECG, whilst a process of investigation was being carried out. Earlier, 2 days ago, I sent a delegation to Qatar, which was the origin of the guarantee, to go and to find out exactly what the situation is. They met them, and they're on their way back to Ghana. By the time I get back to Accra tomorrow, they would have brought us a report.
You heard that President Akufo-Addo interacting with the Ghanaian community in Angola. The Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, meanwhile, says there are still questions the Millennium Development Authority needs to provide answers for. Executive Director Ben Boachi spoke on the Super Morning Show.
They advise government to opt for insurance and not bank guarantees. That is why we are where we are today, and we have to address that. And that's why I keep saying that we should keep our eye off the problems with the insurance and question why we opted for insurance and not, the bank guarantees as were stipulated in the contract. Because if I have assets like ECG, I would not opt for insurance instead of letters of credit to give it away. So why they would do that hasn't really been answered.
You heard there Ben Boachi, Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Now let's cross over to Kumasi because Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah has been addressing the media and is touching on various issues, including the PDS saga. Nanaya Ojima was there and joins us on the line. So Nanaya, what exactly did Mr. Nkrumah say about the concession agreement?
So Mr. Nkrumah hints on the committee sent to Qatar will bring before government their findings on the issue, and also he says government's decision to suspend the deal was in vigilance, contrary to reports that there was some foreign intervention He's also saying that measures put in place pending full report by the fact-finding team so far is in the national interest.
Government wants to reiterate its commitment to ensuring that the people of Ghana are best served in the ongoing inquiry into the PDS concession agreement. And government reminds the general public that, contrary to what some persons will have them believe, it is the due diligence of the government agencies that has raised the red flags with the PDS guarantees, and which red flags are the ones that have led to this ongoing inquiry. Already the team has been to Qatar and has done a good chunk of work. They will be reporting back to the president when he returns to Ghana. And subsequent to that, the Republic will take the next steps and the decisions that will serve us well as a country.
Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah speaking in Kumasi. Now, the only road linking the Upper East and West regions is said to have been flooded following the opening of the Bagri Dam in Burkina Faso. Large swaths of land in the two regions have been flooded. The UK High Commissioner to Ghana, Ian Walker, was today forced to wade through the floods as he tours parts of the country to raise funds to support the Kolebu Plastic Surgery Department. Some stressed travellers have been speaking to Joy News' Kojo Yankson, who is part of the tour.
This is their one village, one dam project. Some bridge they can construct, and they are making noise all over. Yes. What is this? So 3 years. Now you have one village, one dam. This is our dam. Yes, this is just our dam. Even the water they use to flush their toilet. Even this way, this is our pump.
You have there some residents, but Kojo Yankson, like I said, is part of that tour with the UK High Commissioner. He joins us on the line. So Kojo, give us a sense of the situation in terms of the road that has been cut off.
All right, Emepa, the Bagre Dam was flooded last night. And little by little, over the hours, the level of the water rose and to the point where it completely has covered about 100 meters of the only road that connects the Upper East and Upper West regions. We spoke to a district director of health from Tumu, who on his way back from Tamale was stuck on our side of the road last night. Had to spend the night in a village called Nabaruye and has been there since. So he was explaining that every year this happens. About 100 to 200 meters of the road gets submerged under the water when the Bagre Dam is flooded. And none of the government authorities in this part of the country get any warning that the dam is going to be flooded. It simply happens overnight, and by morning, nobody can cross from the Upper East into the Upper West region.
But about the tour, though, the UK High Commissioner, we are told, meandered his way through. But how is he faring, though, and how's the tour so far?
Well, the team had to make a decision. Those who were riding decided that they would wade through the water with their security team as well as the emergency health team, and then resume the ride from the other side of the submerged road. So the Ghana Grand Tour, instead of starting in Tumu as planned, which is just about 15 minutes away from where we are stuck, the Ghana Grand ride started from the village of Nabaruye.
So whilst we are touring or cycling, let's stay on sports because a former captain of the Black Stars, Asamoah Gyan, says he felt he was not part of the plans of Coach Kwesi Appiah in the lead up to the AFCON in Egypt. In a wide-ranging interview, Gyan also described as wrong timing of when the captain's armband was taken from him and handed to his colleague Andre Dedeayew. Speaking on the Super Morning Show with Daniel Datsi, the skipper stated his new role as general captain was not properly defined and that made him upset.
It has happened in most of the countries. A captain does maybe something happens, like scandal or something. It happened in England.
Yeah,
scandal or something. They'll be like, okay, because of what you did, you don't deserve a captain. They take it from you. But this is the situation. I haven't done anything. My mind was prepared for a tournament. I was focusing on a tournament. I was injured. I was able to come back. The last month for the preparation for the tournament. For the last month I was happy. Trying to come back and help my country. And then all of a sudden, bang, I have emotions. That was why I said the timing was wrong. If maybe that time that I wasn't playing, you tell me, no. Okay, I understand because I'm not playing, and it's true I'm not playing. So when the decision came, I asked, so if I'm there, what is going to happen? If I'm on the field, what is going to happen? The answers wasn't. I didn't like the answers, so I had to just let it go. That was what made me upset.
The answers from who?
Of course, the coach.
So you asked them, so if I'm on the pitch, what happens?
Yeah.
What were
there were a lot of things, like, okay, you're the captain, the captain has been stripped from you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We want the other party to be the captain. I'll say, okay, everybody knows me as the captain. Okay, it has been stripped. So what if I'm coming on? Would the armband be given to me to show respect or something? He said, no, you are no more the captain. I said, okay, then what am I going to do there? And he was like, okay, you're going to control everything as a general captain and stuff. I don't understand what the general captain.
So he says he did not enjoy his reign as captain of the Black Stars because it was fraught with many controversies.
I didn't enjoy at all.
Why not?
And I should have been the person who should have enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it.
When you say you should have been the person, what do you mean?
Yeah, for what I've done for the country. Because since being the captain today, Captain C, today, captain has done this. Today, people are fighting over captain. Today, that. Sometimes, even my 50th goal, I scored my 50th goal. I had my picture on my armband. It became an issue. And we've seen a lot of captains who had their faces and their families on their handband. Instead of we focusing on my 50th goal, incredible achievement. Instead of we celebrating that, we focused on that. Why? You understand? Sometimes I sit down and I'm like, what is going on?
I'm sure you also had questions about his participation in the recent AFCON. He's been talking about it too.
The coach makes his decision and I wasn't in his plans. If I was in his plans for what I've done for this country against Guinea-Bissau 2-0 and I didn't come on, Asamoah Gyan didn't come on 2-0, I'm not in his plans. I'll have to be injected before playing. That is how I understood things. This is the situation we are leading, 2-0. I feel like if I'm in a coach plan, although football is collectively, but sometimes you see, this guy wants to achieve something also. Scoring is 10th in 10 consecutive tournaments. Sometimes you need to help the player also. Let me help him achieve this sometimes. That was why I said I wasn't in his plans.
You had there the general captain of the Black Stars, Asamoah Gyan, there in that buried all conversation on the Super Morning Show today. There's more, though, on our social media platforms on that conversation. Away from sports now, let's talk about our porous borders, because it's a community sharing borders with at least 6 Burkinabe communities. Even though it is part of the Upper East region of Ghana, one only needs to travel about half a kilometer outside the market of Feo in the Bongo district to get into some of the first Burkina Faso communities. Now, in spite of this, there's no official border post in the area, a situation the chief of Bongo Feo says makes it easy for smuggling of goods, theft, and possible terror attacks in the wake of attacks on Burkinabes. Today in our series on porous borders, Upper East region correspondent Albert Sori filed this report.
Some of Ghana's official border posts in the Upper East region are located at Paga, Kulungugu, and Polmakum. At these borders, persons coming into the country are screened thoroughly by immigration and custom officials before they are allowed entry. However, exactly same cannot be said of Feo in the Bongo district. This community is neighbor to at least 6 Burkinabe communities, some of which are less than a kilometer away, according to the chief, Naba Ayenaba Azare.
If I just show my left here is Jelongo. I go here, you go to Zisi and you enter Ziu.
Despite this, there is no official border post in the area.
So there have been several times of stealing from Burkina Faso and we have intercepted them. There's a lot of smuggling which is passing here, outside the country and into the country. We have been seeing it. The truck will come at an odd hour and pass.
Desmond Atambiri is the assemblyman for the Feo electoral area.
Day in and day out, because Feo is not far from Burkina, we hear a lot of attacks not far from the border. So when we hear that, we were alarmed and we were always alert, even in our churches. When we see visitors in our church, we were always intrigued about their presence.
Albert Sori's report there. Now, the Comptroller General of the Immigration Service has been touring some border communities. Assistant Superintendent of Immigration, Gifty Ambome, is the Ashanti Regional PRO. She's part of that tour and joins us on the line here on the Midday News. So please, which areas have you toured so far?
The tour so far, the CGI, which is the Comptroller General of Immigration, went to the new region, which is the Savannah region, and there he told the Bole immigration office post. He also went to the Bole-Chache border post, which is closer to Cote d'Ivoire. From there, he toured unapproved routes along that area. He visited Vuvu unapproved route, Saru. He also went to Kalba immigration post, where officers come and meet, and then they do this meeting. Pardon?
Well, I'm going to ask about the porous border situation. We filed a number of reports the whole of this week, and the story is the same everywhere we've been to. How is the Comptroller General intending to deal with the situation?
Yes, so that's exactly why he traveled to see things for himself after receiving reports on the porous nature in which the borders are. So for him to basically get the right information, get things for himself, see how much appreciative he could be for the things he's seeing with his own eyes, and then he can better make recommendations to the Minister for the Interior and to the Presidency.
Very well. That's the Assistant Superintendent of Immigration, Gifty Angbome, the Ashanti Regional PRO, part of the tour of the Comptroller General of the Immigration Service, and they're hoping to make some recommendations following our series on porous borders. But Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, like I said, is in the Ashanti region addressing the media there. He's also been touching on Ghana's porous border situation.
Security has been a matter that all of us have been concerned with right from the beginning of this year, not just because of the heightened reportage of some of the security incidents in our country, but also because of the security climate within the West Africa sub-region. The administration has shown good faith by commencing an exercise of retooling the security agencies, the police and the military. You regularly see that they are being retooled. You also regularly see that they are recruiting some more numbers and beefing up their numbers. But all of this requires money. It is our expectation that part of this 6 billion, as invested in the further improvement of our security, should deliver a lot of value to the people of Ghana. Security operations are such that we may not give so much detail, because once you give so much detail, you are also arming whoever may be thinking and thoughts towards you.
Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah. It's a good time to take a break here on the Midday News, but first a quick recap of our top stories. President Akufo-Addo justifies government's decision to suspend Power Distribution Services Agreement, insisting assets worth $3 billion had to be protected. When we return from the break, after more than 50 years of drinking dirty surface water, the Central Region community of Trifo and Krakrom is now thirsty for a safe source.
About 3 days ago, some people came here driving in their private car. They asked for water. When I offered them this water, they rejected it.
We're right back after the break.
Let's go, My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality, but I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
Kremasa, Ghana, so we pay correct medicine pa. And you make us super. Me a super medicine and kasa. Because our job no and better. They won't see how beautiful and high quality your work is. That be what them they use believe you. That be why me too. It be only super cement at the use. Cement mu cement. Cement papa. Inti me crying singing from me cause super. Because me the super cement and DVD ra.
Super Cement is designed to ensure that your buildings stand strong for generations. Build with Supersem Cement. Build your dream. Build.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Now, founder of African University College of Communication, Kojo Yankah, has described as sad the non-implementation of the Right to Information Law months after its passage. It's been over 4 months since the law was passed by Parliament, but it's yet to be enforced. In an exclusive interview with Kojo Yankson, the former editor-in-chief of the Daily Graphic newspaper said passing an act just to satisfy concerns is not enough.
Why don't we go ahead and be courageous to implement it? Once you've passed it, you have to implement it. You know, look, you see, we have an audience that is more discerning than we think. You know, that, we can hide certain things from the people for some time, and then later we will know how to play the game. No. These days, it's in your own interest to be open. After all, what does the right of information say? It's giving the media people the opportunity to gather information to feed the people. So why is it difficult? And then people and that will kill all this arrogance in government where people think, no, you don't have a right to come and interview me. You don't have a right to gather information. Why are you keeping the information? Me, I don't understand. Do you want another government to come later so that we have what went wrong series? Then we start going into, this was this. So why didn't you tell us in the first place?
You hear the founder of the African University College of Communication, Kojo Yankah, speaking to my colleague, Kojo Yankson. Now, today on our Safe Water Project, we take you to the central regional town of Trifo and Krakrom in the Trifo Hemang Lower Dintra district, where the community's only source of water is a small pool. Ironically, the situation is worsened during the rainy season because chemicals used on the farms are washed into the source from the cocoa farms around. Central Regional Correspondent Richard Kujonyako traveled to the community and has come through with this report.
55-year-old Amajo scoops water into a bucket from the only water source in the Krakrom community. The water is dirty with tadpoles and spirogyra and looks brownish as well. All living organisms in this community depend on it.
For the
past 55 years I've been here, this has been the water we use. We get many reactions whenever we drink it, but we have no option. We are pleading with government to come to our aid. Whenever it rains, everything around is washed into this water, making it dangerous for consumption.
The source of water can best be described as stagnant water. It does not flow and only collects water when it rains. The proximity of the water source to the cocoa farm means many chemicals that are sprayed on the cocoa find their way into it. Opini Kwabnofori described the effect of the continuous use of the water on the community.
Mosquitoes also breed in the water. It is stagnant water and very unclean.
Over 600 community folks here battle with animals for the water. Teresa, another resident, recounts how visitors to the community reject water from them and ask for sachet water instead.
About 3
days ago, some people came here driving in their private car. They asked for water. When I offered them this water, they rejected it.
The community, predominantly farmers, has poured resources to construct a borehole, but they say their funds are not enough to undertake that project. Openi Kwabnofori says all appeals for support to the assembly and central government have fallen on deaf ears.
On this water issue, since 1992, assemblymen, DCs, MPs, and other political figures have been here. We've tabled our concerns before them, but they have done nothing.
Richard Kwejenyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
And it's a good time to check out what's trending on social media now. Maps, what are people talking about?
People are talking about Asamoah Gyan.
You shook a lot of tables today.
Yes, and Lexus Ball says, build a statue for Asamoah Gyan. And Larry Paola says, Asamoah Gyan is shaking tables this morning. Next week will be lit in the world of football. Lol. And at Momo says, me, after listening to excerpts of Asamoah Gyan's interview this morning, Baby Jet is still in pains. And W. Kario says, Asamoah Gyan says he didn't understand what General Captain meant. He wanted to be captain. Chrissy Apia just gave him a title with captain in it. And at Fancy_XY says, Asamoah Gyan wants a decent send-off. LOL. He should go back to 2010 and score that penalty before.
It's a long weekend ahead. You ought to stay safe. That's it for the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM. Of course, there's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Please enjoy your weekend.
Thank God it's Friday.